Hey guys, Viking 82 here, back with a new Viking Orations. Got another review for you today, and surprise, some more Indiana music to grace your ears with, but with a little bit of a twist. This time around, I'm going to be talking to you about the debut demo from the band Crossfire, simply entitled Demo 2024, out now on Wise Blood Records. And if you're not familiar with Crossfire, they are a metallic hardcore band out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Been around since just last year in 2023, so it's still a relatively young band, featuring Casey Byerly on bass, Chris Parent, sorry if I mispronounced your name, I wasn't quite sure how to say it, on the guitars, Mac Frost handling guitars and vocals, Cody Apple on the drums, and Carter Seaton handling vocals, lead vocals. He is also in the band Sundown, who actually also released a album or EP, I can't remember which one it was, on Wise Blood Records. As I said, this is their debut demo. It is 4 tracks and clocks in at 11 minutes right on the dot. And so here in 2024, Wise Blood Records is bringing us the next release in their continued demo series, which is a series I'm really glad Sean had started. And this time it's some local hardcore. And while I'm still kind of dipping my toes into the hardcore scene in general, it's really cool to find a local band, as I had not heard of these guys until this demo was announced. And I've known that the Indiana scene is full of killer metal bands, and especially extreme metal bands, but I also found out now that we also have a pretty good burgeoning hardcore scene, so I definitely need to dive into that just a little bit more. But yeah, these guys have just really impressed me with this debut offering. The guitars have this tone that's heavy and dirty. It's not overly polished whatsoever. Lots of mid to fast-paced riffs with some of these slow, chuggy, hardcore sounding riffs, but you also get like a thrashy vibe at times as well. At least I did, and even some death metal put in there as well. Like when you get into track number 2, Born to Serve, which is actually the first song proper after a little intro. About 28 seconds in, there's this total death metal riff with everything really settling into this nice groove. Then at about the 51-second mark, it just slows to this heavy, chuggy groove with these gruff-sounding backing vocals that just sound so badass to me, and I love the bass line that comes in at the 2-minute mark. Then when you get into the last track, track number 4, Last Words, that opening riff, again, it gives off a serious death metal vibe to me, and it actually reminded me of someone, and for the life of me, I could not figure out who. I'm usually pretty good at that, but in my head I was listening to it, I was like, who's this remind me of? And in my head, when things finally started kicking in, proper getting to the right pace, I could hear a female doing these harsh vocals, but of course, this is, Carter doing vocals here, but in my head, who they reminded me of was playing in my head a little bit, because I kept listening to that riff over and over, but for the life of me, I could not think of who it reminded me of, so that was a little bit annoying. But continuing on, I love the drum sound that they got on here, especially the kick drums. They actually kind of reminded me of a buddy that I used to work with, his band, that put out like one release and then split up. His kick drum sound on that's what it reminded me of here on the Crossfire demo. But the snare has a higher snap to it as opposed to a thunk. It's not that annoying ping sound that a lot of brutal death metal bands like to use that annoys the hell out of me and a bunch of other people. But it's just kind of a little bit of a higher snap to it. Really good patterns, rolls, and fills. And he actually does some really cool sounding drum rolls at times. And I loved his double bass work on here. Really good drum performance, I thought. The bass on here, man, I loved the bass. It's thick sounding, very easily heard, though it's not too high up in the mix to overpower anything. It's just right, I think, at the right level in the mix. And then when you get into track number 3, Anthem to Our Hate, which is probably my favorite song on this entire demo. I absolutely love that song. I love the bass intro to it because it's just so heavy, with the guitars finally joining in at the 14-second mark, along with the drums shortly after that, doing this cool little pattern. Then when you get to about 2:05 into the song, the guitars fade out, and it's just the bass and drums doing this cool little groove and beat. And then finally the guitars come back in at the 2:13 mark with this cool little slide in. Just sounds so awesome. Vocally, you kind of get your standard hardcore shout with these gruff, kind of roared or growled vocals as backing vocals at times, though those actually kind of take over as lead vocals at spots here and there, such as in track number 3. I love the dual vocal approach that this band takes, as it keeps things from getting stale, and I love the juxtaposition and the heft the gruffer style brings to these songs. And it's kind of like, as a friend of mine put it to me, bolt thrower meets East Coast hardcore is the best way to look at it. Overall, I thought this was a solid debut offering from this hardcore unit. And while Carter's other band, Sundown, may not have clicked with me, this band certainly has, and it has kicked my ass in the process. I mean, this demo is heavy, groovy at times, and just full of aggression without, all the tropes of the kind of tough guy-isms that you would find in, heavy and metallic hardcore. Instead, kind of focusing more on personal issues and the general state of the world at hand. I know the band has said they are planning to record an EP this coming May, which I am certainly looking forward to and very eagerly await. This is definitely a band to keep your eyes on if you love old school hardcore and metallic hardcore, especially if you're big into the Golden Age Victory Records catalog. Then yeah, Crossfire should certainly be up your alley. I would give this a solid 9 out of 10. Go check out Crossfire. I will be leaving a link down below so you can hear this on Bandcamp and pick up a copy if you so desire. And yeah, that is going to do it. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay brutal.